Coming up on NCC News, an update about the Boston Marathon bombing situation. An Indy 500 car is stolen and your phone in just 60 seconds. This and much more coming up on NCC News.
Hello, I'm Elias Rosario.
And I'm Nicole Marinelli.
Gratitude, satisfaction, a step forward. These are just some of the words that survivors of the Boston Marathon bombing say they feel now that they found Dzhokhar Tsarnaev guilty, but the case isn't closed. Chris Welch reports.
Today was the last time I or anyone in my family will ever eat here.
Florencia Albert reads the letter she left on the table at Conrad's in Pasadena Saturday after breakfast with her son Sebastian.
The restaurant didn't act in the way that I would have expected, so I left a note for the owner.
Albert had offered to buy breakfast for a homeless man named Michael, who she says was sitting outside and asked for some French toast. So she invited him in as her guest. But that's when she says the restaurant told him he couldn't stay and had to order the food to go.
The owner said, "We don't want him here."
This did not happen.
Conrad's attorney, Frank Gooch, says the owners, the Bisius family, are appalled at what's being said online and want to set the record straight. Gooch says the owner had no problem with Michael staying to eat. They had a problem with him panhandling prior, and that's why police were called.
The police officer said, "You have the absolute right to refuse service to anyone." She said, "No, this gentleman is sitting here and eating now."
But Albert says, as an attorney herself, she threatened to sue, and that's when she says they allowed Michael to stay. On Facebook, Albert's post has received thousands of shares and comments, like this one, "Shame on Conrad's."
And someone with 40 years of experience in doing good can be decimated on social media.
Gooch says Albert needs to make a retraction, but Albert says she's standing her ground.
Perhaps a really unfortunate situation will turn into something good.
Gratitude, satisfaction, a step forward. That's just some of the emotions survivors of the Boston Marathon bombing say they feel now that as a jury found Dzhokhar Tsarnaev guilty, but the case isn't closed.
It's not a day to celebrate. I guess you could call it a bittersweet victory. Not out there cheering for what happened, but I'm satisfied.
Bittersweet, but not over. With a guilty verdict on all 30 counts, the question now becomes, will Dzhokhar Tsarnaev face death? The start date on the penalty phase has not been set, but the same jury will deliberate Tsarnaev's sentence, life in prison without parole or death. The jury must vote unanimously for a death sentence. It's been nearly 2 years since a terrorist attack rocked the finish line of the iconic Boston Marathon and shook this city to the core. Survivors of the bombing, like Karen Brassard, say they were relieved by Wednesday's verdict.
I'm grateful to have him off the street.
No matter what happens next, survivors say they'll focus on their lives, while a jury deliberates death.
I may be standing on one fake leg, but I'm standing here stronger than ever because someone tried to destroy me and he failed.
In Boston, I'm Chris Welch.
Authorities in Indiana are looking for the suspect who stole an Indy 500 pace car from a dealership Wednesday night. Police say the suspect drove the car through a plate glass door and down a flight of stairs before abandoning it in Zionsville. Officers say that the suspect ran off and may be injured. They say the suspect knocked on the door of a nearby home for help. The homeowner refused and called 911 instead.
Stanford researchers make a possible quantum leap for cell phone batteries. It takes just 1 minute to get you fully charged on this story. Researchers at Stanford University have found a way to make smartphones smarter. And this was all by making their batteries safer, cheaper, and a whole lot faster. Their new battery is still being developed, but check out the prototype. It can power up a cell phone in just 60 seconds.
It can be charged within a minute. It's possible to have like bendable cell phone with bendable screen. You have bendable batteries on the back. Our aluminum battery is non-flammable, so if you drill the hole through it, it's still running. It's definitely a high safety battery. It has no decay over hundreds of cycles, so you can have a potential application in like grid scale electric storage. It can be further improved, and this is a great start. We think that it has a bright future.
The operator of the Fukushima nuclear plant has given up trying to recover robotic probe. On Friday, the robot was sent into one of the reactors that suffered a meltdown after an earthquake and tsunami in 2011. It set out to collect radiation level data and investigate the spread of debris. A newly released report on the footage from the robot show has fallen object that had blocked its path and left it stranded. It managed to collect data on radiation levels in the 14 of the 18 targeted locations. Tokyo Electric Power Company decided to cut off the cable connected to the device Sunday, as it had already covered 2/3 of the originally planted route. 4 years after the devastating nuclear crisis, the radiation levels inside their damaged reactors and are still extremely high and remain unsafe for people to enter decommissioning. Work is estimated to cost $50 billion, and it will take many years to complete.
Well, if you live around the area and love to do activities, then you might want to look into joining the Point program in White Plains, New York. The director of this newscast, Jason Duffy, is a current participant and recently got the chance to catch up with a few people in that program to talk about this fun experience.
Could you tell us what the Point program is about?
The Point program is a program that helps high-functioning individuals with disabilities live independently in White Plains, New York.
And what is the Point program about? Like, what goes on in it?
Well, I'm a program specialist with the Point program, and I work with my individuals to create life goals that they would like to accomplish, such as learning how to cook, or balance a checkbook, or maintaining an apartment independently, and together we work on those goals until they achieve them.
So how long have you been in Point, and what do you do?
Well, I've been in Point for about over 2 years now, and I'm a life skills trainer. And what I do is I work with, the community and the people in Point, sort of act as a liaison between, the community and our participants to help them in the community, whether it's, going shopping, or whether it's, doing household chores, or whether it's doing any everyday task, that we complete each day. That's what I help and guide, my guys to do. And so far, it's been a really rewarding job especially when I notice that, they're grasping the skills and these things are becoming habitual and, automatic for them. And, it's a great thing to see the improvement that they've made.
How long has it been around?
The Point program is going into its 8th year, and it's a program that's a collaboration through Westchester Jewish Community Services and Jewish Child Care Association. And we have 42 people that live in the community. It's a community of high-functioning young adults with developmental disabilities, and we have fun together. We have a real community. We do social activities together, and we work together, and we kind of play together.
So how long have you been in Point, and what's your favorite activity?
I have been in Point since it started in 2008. My favorite activity is bowling and batting cages.
So how long have you been in Point?
for 4 years, since August of 2011.
And do you have a favorite activity?
My favorite activity is when I can go is bowling.
Speaking of bowling, this was the scene a few weeks ago at the newly renovated bowling alley in White Plains. And this is a very popular activity.
Sorry with what?
What is that?
That's turkey. Bye.
When we come back, we'll take a look at some recent events that took place at NCC. Stay tuned.
I fainted at the sight of blood. Me, a nurse? I had no idea that's what I'd be when I went to NCC. But NCC is not like other colleges.
NCC has a Student Success Center where counselors assist every student in creating a future.
I'm so happy. Nurse Robbins. I created that.
Be who you want to be. Create your future at NCC.
Recently, Norwalk Community College held a club fair. There were a variety of clubs to choose from at the event. Jason Duffy has the story. As I mentioned, this is a look at one of the clubs, which was the dance club. As you can see, there was a lot of dancing going on, enticing prospective club members to join. Okay, so can you please tell us your name and a little bit about the A+ ID Club?
My name is Kevin McManus, and our club is the Architecture and Interior Design Club, which we call A+ ID. And the club is for students who are mainly studying architecture, interior design, possibly construction, who are interested in just meeting other students who are interested in those things. We take trips. We work together on projects. We meet for open studio days, which is just collaboration. We work together on one big project. We build models, and older students will mentor the younger students at these days as well.
So we noticed you have one of your projects here. Is this yours? And if not, whose is it? And also, are these the similar projects that we can find on West Campus at the upper level?
Yeah, this is a project that I had worked on for a construction documents class. And on the West Campus, there's a lot of other projects like this. It's basically just a building, a commercial building that we designed. And then after you design the building, you build a model. And that's probably the most fun part of architecture, is after you get to do the design, you get to actually build it and see in physical form what your building looks like.
Nice, thanks a lot.
Have you ever wanted to look at some possible career choices? Recently, NCC held a career fair. Jason Duffy got the chance to catch up with a few people to talk about it.
So can you tell us what the main goal behind Verizon is?
Some of the main goals behind Verizon are, we're really going to be like an innovative and technology-based company. We're no longer just selling, cell phones. We're also selling data devices, technology. We're looking into other consumer products such as appliances. We're really kind of going towards more of application development and things to really suit other people's whole life. So we're looking into other areas of technology, such as like refrigerators, where your refrigerator can send you a text message telling you that you're out of milk, etc. So we're really moving towards being a technology company. It's really exciting what we're doing.
Hello, my name is Sahil. I'm majoring in accounting, and I'm just here for a financial company. And I talked to a couple such as EXA Advisors, They told me what age I have to be, and it's been going pretty well so far.
When we come back, we will meet the director of this newscast.
And Fast and Furious 7 plate races to the top of the box offices. Stay tuned. Now it's time to meet the person who made this newscast possible. Jason Duffy grew up in Connecticut and recently moved to White Plains a few years ago. He's a huge sports fanatic and has a ton of memorabilia. Let's meet the Duff Man.
So basically, I collect a bunch of memorabilia. I've been doing it for a long time. I have a lot of stuff that I've collected, such as framed pictures, signed baseballs, you name it, I have it. There's signed pictures, and it's a pretty cool thing to have. What made me want to start collecting, I just kind of decided to do it because I got like a ton of memorabilia, and coincidentally, you would think that a lot of these things will be bought, but actually no. Quite a few of the things I've collected, like memorabilia-wise, have been gifts from my family. So, if I had to pick a favorite piece of memorabilia I'd have, it'd be really tough because a lot of the things I own are so cool, so I don't think I could pick a favorite one. It's that tough, I'll tell you that. Here are just some of the items I have. As you can see, here are a bunch of pictures, and a lot of these are framed. You can see there's a ton of Yankee photos. There's also a Nets framed photo of future Hall of Famer Jason Kidd. Here's another couple of photos I have. Now if you look at the Posada one, it's kind of hard to see, but that picture is also autographed. Here are a couple of Yankee tickets that I've kept for safekeeping, and if you look at the one on the left, that was from a game a couple years ago, and that's autographed by Yankees legend Mickey Rivers. Now this picture right here, you can see this is a very rare picture of Yogi Berra when he was young, and this picture I actually got free when I went to Cooperstown. The owner of a restaurant that I was at, he is actually friends with Yogi Berra, and he has a ton of memorabilia as well, so he gave me this picture for free. Here's another picture of Mickey Rivers and that ticket that you saw that was autographed. This is also something he autographed for me, and he wrote a message to me, which is really neat. Here's another piece of memorabilia I have. This is a signed autograph ball by Yankees legend Jorge Posada. Now here, as you can see, this is an actual bat signed by the captain himself, Derek Jeter. And this is probably one of the most valuable items I own. Now we have come to the wrestling portion of my memorabilia. As you can see, here's a couple of items I got autographed. These are actually souvenirs on the stands, but these are actual autographs. I have a couple of John Cena signed autographs, and then over here from WrestleMania Access in 2013, here's an autograph from WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggins. Ho! Here's another piece of memorabilia I have. This is a picture of the WWE Divas, the Bella Twins, and I got them to sign this photo back at an event I went to last year, an autograph signing event in the city. Well, if you're a big WWE fan, you probably recognize these guys who were known as the Shield, but of course they aren't officially the Shield anymore. But anyways, a year ago I got Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose to sign this photo. Here's another thing I got signed. This is one of my favorite WWE divas who is now retired, who I met back in 2013 at a autograph signing event, and I got her to sign my poster for me. And last but certainly not least, in recent years, the past 2 WWE video games have come with special edition autograph cards. Here's one signed by the dead man himself, The Undertaker, and in last year's game, Hulkamania is now running wild again, brother. Here's another autograph photo I have of Jorge Posada. And if you're a Yankee fan, you might recognize this photo. This is the game-winning walk-off home run from Aaron Boone back in 2003 that sent the Yankees to the World Series. This photo is actually one of my favorites because this is a customized photo, as you can see. And if I zoom in on it, you can see on the back it's got my last name on it. Well, all of that stuff seems pretty cool, right? And trust me, I've got a ton of more memorabilia that I'd love to share with you, but unfortunately all the other stuff is at my house because, as I said, I've got a ton of memorabilia. Well, that about does it for this version of Meet the Director. I hope you've enjoyed getting to learn more about yours truly, the Duff Man.
Furious 7, the latest in the Fast and Furious franchise, has taken over the box office. The movie raked in more than $390 million worldwide over the weekend, with what may be the most diverse cast in film. Paul Verkerman has more.
From the first Fast and Furious, fans made the franchise a full-throttle box office smash.
There was romance, there was comedy, there was action in the movie, and I mean, there's a lot of good-looking people in it, so of course, you can't skip that part.
Let's get to work.
And you can't gloss over this. Sure, these actors won the genetic lottery, but the cast just looked different, diverse. From the start, a Latina heroine, Michelle Rodriguez, an Asian villain, Rick Yoon. The franchise added Tyrese, and The Rock, and Ludacris, and still more fans flocked.
They love each character, and everybody can identify with one of the characters, and it's just representing the entire world. That's why it's universal, you know?
I think we kind of kept it real throughout the franchise, which they appreciate.
Now, sometimes critics might be harsh on the Fast and Furious series, saying there's too much violence and there's too much whatever. And then the fans say, well, scoreboard, because it's made more than $2 billion worldwide. And the series has called on a diverse group of directors to drive it. While Rob Cohen jump-started the Fast and the Furious, John Singleton, Boys in the Hood, directed 2. Justin Lin, 3 through 6. James Wan of Saw fame took the helm for Furious 7 and added to the racially mixed stew.
People love the characters in this film. People love the actors playing the characters in this movie, and just a very simple theme of family just really resonates around the world. That was a very smart thing, for them to play up, and I think it's one that everyone can relate to.
Part 1 took place here in LA. It's probably the most diverse city there is, culture-wise. So I love how from part 1, part 2 they went to Florida, part 3, Tokyo, part 4, Mexico, Dominican Republic, part 5. They've been all over the world, so I bet fans of every different culture, every different race can relate to the movie. So I feel like that's what got it bigger.
What also got many fans easygoing, easy on the eyes, Paul Walker. But his death before Furious 7 filming ended
complicated production.
I think I'm more nervous to see the movie, to see how they're going to send him off, because it was his last movie.
But critics applaud the film's on-screen farewell to Walker. The franchise powers on. In a world where a lot of movies look the same, The Fast and the Furious has ridden its united colors of diversity all the way to the bank. Paul Verkaman, CNN, Hollywood.
Well, if you're a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, then you probably know that one of the biggest themes in the movie is family. It's worth nothing that Vin Diesel took that to another level as he recently named his newborn after Paul Walker to pay tribute to him.
Furthermore, Vin Diesel also announced that the Furious 8 movie is official and will race in the theaters in April 2017. That'll do it for another edition of NCC News. I'm Elias Rosario.
And I'm Nicole Marinelli. Thanks for joining us for today's edition of NCC News.
Have a great night.